many of them have excelled and built themselves out of nothing, and they have become famous figures in businesses, in all walks of life, in economy, in politics, in literature, in music, and in everything. Now, let's hear the great person, a great economist and businessman, one of the most successful people, and he is chairman of UN Gate, Mr. Talal Abu-Ghazaleh. Mr. Abu-Ghazaleh, the floor is yours, please.
I will not be making a speech. My statement is in two parts. One is a story, and another is an announcement. But first, let me thank our host, Richard Cook, who speaks little and does a lot. You're an example of the great United Nations production. Your Excellency, Talal Abu-Ghazaleh, I am privileged to be your colleague over many years, and we have had the privilege and honor of working with you and seeing you in your different positions in serving this country. Talal Abu-Ghazaleh, the great Commissioner, thank you for being with us, and thank you for all what you're doing. I must also recognize Luke Stevens, who's a great representative of the United Nations system, and we're honored to have with us His Excellency the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia, the country that contributes generously in the support of the Palestinians and the Palestinian cause. I would like also to correct the record. I am not a graduate of UNRWA schools, unfortunately, and I really resent that. I wish I had the honor to stand in front of you and say I did study at an UNRWA school. My misfortune threw me as a Palestinian refugee on the shores of a village south of Sidon called Ghaziyah, and there was no UNRWA schools there. To make a long story short, I had to struggle for my education until I reached the point where I wanted to go to university. To go to university, the best possible university, the best at that time and still is the American University of Beirut in Lebanon. Needless to say, I wouldn't have had $1 to be able to pay the tuition of that great school. So what was the only possible avenue for me was there were 2 scholarships for Palestinian refugees at that university, offered to that university. One by Ford Foundation and the other by UNRWA. And I had to win one of these 2 scholarships. So I had to suffer. And that's the story I always tell my young grandchildren and students in all the universities I go to speak at, and I do that a lot. I talk to them about the blessing of suffering. Suffering is a great fortune, and anybody who feels sorry or sad because he's suffering, I feel sorry for him. I have enjoyed my 72 years of suffering. I started, since I opened my eyes as a refugee, it has been a process of suffering, but wonderful journey, because it made me what I am. In 1956, I was to finish my high school and enter the university. So I had to be the top student in the baccalaureate exam. Under the Lebanese system in the government, there is a government certificate other than the private school certificates, and you have to pass it, and it's called Baccalaureate Part 2. So my hard luck was that I had to be the top student in the baccalaureate in Lebanon among the Palestinian refugees. And do you call that hard luck? Do you call it suffering? I call it a blessing. And I made it. And I became the first refugee to go to the American University of Beirut under an UNRWA scholarship. Thank you, UNRWA. It is because of UNRWA you have in front of you an example of a person who was made what he is with the help of UNRWA. Now, when I have been appointed by the Secretary General into many previous positions, I don't think the Secretary General nor anybody in the United Nations, until a recent event that it has come to be known that it is UNRWA that gave me the chance to be a university graduate. And now, as I stand in front of you as the chair of the United Nations Global Alliance on Information Technology and Telecommunication and Development, I feel very proud that I stand in front of UNRWA. UNRWA that gave me the scholarship to become a university graduate. Again, thank you, UNRWA. This is the story. Now the announcements. Very recently, we established a community center at Jarash camp, refugee camp, as a model partnership between the government of Jordan, UNRWA, and my organization. The center is there operating, and refugees at the camp are learning and qualifying as computer students. At that occasion, at that inauguration, I disclosed for the first time my identity as a winner of the UNRWA scholarship at the American University of Beirut, and that's how it has become known. But I am now very proud to tell you the real story. Now, the announcements I want to make is that in addition to this community center, we are now developing plans for Jarash camp to establish a computer refurbishing center where we can repair used computers, cycle them again for the refugees in the camp and in other camps, and to the community at large for school students. This is a project on which we are working with major international organizations, including Microsoft and other parties involved in this field. Another project we're trying to, which we will be also proposing to our partners, this is a true partnership. United Nations system represented by the UNRWA, the government of Jordan, and a private organization. We want to establish a laptop production line, the first of its kind in the Arab world, and in a refugee camp. We're hoping at the end of this process to be able to realize a dream of His Majesty of a little Silicon Valley in exile. This Silicon Valley will be transported one day, and I hope I will live until that day, but whether I live or not is irrelevant. But the day will come when that Silicon Valley will be relocated to where it belongs, to Palestine. Now, this community of ICT technology in Jarash camp, we hope, will provide employment, will provide training and skill, and will provide computers for everybody. And by the way, this laptop production industry, which we're trying to set up, is for the entire Arab world, and is not, but is located, and it had to be located somewhere. And I hope that Jarash camp will accept to host it, and I hope that the government of Jordan will accept to be our partner, and I hope that UNRWA will accept to be our partner too. Thank you very much.